Have you ever heard the phrase, I worry because I care? Mothers in particular like that one, but I'm sure fathers out there, run it too. When there's something important on the line, like your family or your business or your health or etc., like worry is certainly understandable. But my question to you is it helpful? And I would say no, okay? I would feel like worry is one of the most acute emotional, like poisonous clouds of pain that just disrupts your decision making, steals your confidence, and destroys your drive. And in doing that, it slows you way the heck down in the pursuit of any goal. And so what I'm going to share with you is 7 things that I use to banish worry and to show up confidently to my work every single day. All right. And so the first thing that I use to banish worry is dignity. All right. Dignity is this concept that I have a fundamental, inherent, inalienable, invincible sense of worth inside of me. And I view this intrinsic worth as separate from my status, meaning that, regardless of how good my business does or how poorly it does, I'm still good. It frees me from it. I'm not defined by it. And that goes with my relationships. It goes with, my physique. It goes with everything that, yes, status matters and it goes up and it goes down. We usually want it to go up. But even if it doesn't, I'm still good. I'm fine. If you identify with your status, well, then, you're going to be constantly worried because if that status dips a little bit, you feel like crap and you beat yourself up and you hate yourself. And that's going to cause you to worry. All right. But if you recognize that I'm always fundamentally good and fine in and of myself, well, then it's okay. I'm just playing a game. I'm just trying to score points. And it feels good when you score points. And sometimes it doesn't feel good when you lose them. But I'm still okay deep down. All right. So that's probably the biggest thing. The next thing that helps me avoid worry is just the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle, recognizing that really just if I can get the big pieces right, that core 20% that's going to drive 80% of the results. If I can just try and focus in on doing that, I don't really need to worry about the details. Okay. That's huge because a lot of the worry and the stress, it comes from the details. It comes from how can I, get everything perfect? How can I score a 100%? And a lot of that usually for people comes back to a lack of dignity. It's like, if I don't get 100%, well, then I'm not good enough, right? But if you have your dignity, well, then 80-20 becomes that's the fastest and easiest way. It's like, is this directionally correct? Am I hitting what I believe to be the big vein of importance? Okay, good enough. Let's go. Let's stop worrying about it. Okay. Third thing that helps me with worry is having a very iterative mindset. And with this, it means that I really try to avoid making anything that I'm doing the make or break of things. So sometimes you just got to it's just the next bat. That's it. It's it's a game. It's one of the ideas I like to think of it is playing games with the universe. You're going to hit the ping pong ball at the universe. The universe, maybe it's going to spike it back at you, or maybe it's going to give you this weird curving shot, or maybe it's going to miss it and you're going to score a point. Okay. You never know what's going to happen. And as long as you're viewing it as, all right, this isn't that bat. And if I don't win this one, well, I'm going to learn from something and make it better next time. Keep the tests small where you can and controlled where you can, and then let it go, right? Don't make it a make or break thing if you can avoid it. And a lot of times guys think they're put in this position of making a massive change when in reality they're not. They could just start much smaller, make directional 80-20 progress and just get going. Don't worry about it. Okay. And as you start making progress, you learn more things, you get more clarity, and everything starts to fall into place. Next thing that helps me with worry is that I tend to opt for adventure and story. And what does that mean? Well, let's say every path you were going to choose in life was doomed to fail. All right. This is just a hypothetical scenario. Obviously that's not true, but the worried part of you, that's how it tends to view everything. It's like, how can things go wrong? Well, let's say it all was going to go wrong. Okay. Which path would you take then? Well, at that point, it's like, well, if I can't exactly win, everything I'm going to do is not going to work out. Well, what's going to make for the best story? What's going to be the most satisfying adventure, right? Which path, even if it didn't work out, is in alignment with the man that I want to be? Okay. Because this is the big thing, is that you cannot always get what you want, but you can be who you want to be. And ultimately, I think that's far more valuable, right? It's like, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the guy who goes out there and chases down his real dreams and desires all out? Or do you want to be the guy who, sits around on his hands like a weenie, right? It's like you definitely don't want to be that guy. And so you got to tap into that boldness by stepping into that sense of identity, being that guy who is on an adventure. And if you do that, well, the worry starts to melt away because it's not so much about achieving the outcome immediately. It's about being on the journey. And honestly, this tends to lead to much better results ultimately overall anyway. So, I mean, like, it's not like you're sacrificing one for the other. It just lets you do it more efficiently and confidently. Next thing is that I like to play the odds, right? Thinking in bets. There's a great book out there I think it's called Thinking in Bets. And with this one, it's like, again, you just do a quick odds check. If you're looking at everything that's going on, first, I usually filter it by 80-20. Is this thing hitting the 20% that produce 80% of the results? If it's not, well, I'm probably going to shelf it and not pay too much attention to it until everything's super locked in, right? Then the next thing I'll pass it through is like, well, what are the chances that this is going to work, or have a big impact? Just literally just make up a number. And what you'll find is that you might be obsessing and worrying over something that like has a very low chance of being a big deal anyway, right? Or big, like maybe you realize that, oh, this thing that I'm really worried about, it's a legitimately like low chance of it having, an impact, right? And so I'm just going to throw it away. And then this thing over here that seems boring, that actually has a really high chance of like providing some benefit, right? So just put odds on things. Sometimes you just got to clarify what is actually going on in your mind by putting some numbers on something. And it lets you make decisions much more comfortably and lets you just get in tune with the fact that you're playing this gambling game, right? Because you just can't control everything. Number 6. This one is a little uncomfortable, but I think it's very helpful. And this is where you look at the worst case scenario. I talked about this in the previous video where I was talking about doing like the critical failure test. And this one helps with the worries. Like, all right, say the worst case does happen. Is it, first of all, possible? Like, what are the chances of it? Put the odds on it. Sometimes that alone makes things feel a lot better. But then you're going to just ask yourself, like, could I still thrive? How could I thrive? Can I imagine a scenario where I still thrived even if this didn't work out? And chances are you can. Sometimes you might need to go a little bit deeper, a little bit spiritual with it, but you could probably do it, right? And this leads directly into perhaps the most important point here, which is give it to God. Okay. When you give your business over to God, you view him as the master, you as the steward, you as the conduit of his grace, that frees you up so much from worry because you realize that, all right, all these things I can't control, I'm going to put them under the bucket of God's grace. Because, or luck, right? Because it's just like, you need luck, you need grace. You can't work it. Even if you do everything perfectly, it can all still go to shit. So it's like you need to find some psychological mechanism for surrendering that control and being at peace with it. The way that it works for me is by giving it to God, who I believe in, right? And when I do that, everything gets easier. I can even pass all the worst case scenario tests where it's like, even if everything goes to absolute crap, guess what? God's still going to take care of me. He's still going to be there for me. There's still going to be a path to redemption and thriving and all the good stuff out there because I have hope, right? Because I'm tapped into something deeper. Worry, ultimately, it does not make you more responsible, okay? It just makes you less effective. And at Frontline Man, we help entrepreneurial family men replace anxiety with clarity, confidence, and a real game plan. We blend strategy with faith so you can move forward boldly without carrying the weight alone. So if you're done letting fear run the show and you're ready to lead with courage, wisdom, and trust, then I would love for you to click the link below and book a free call with us. We'll get you rocketing towards your goals without all that worry. All right, so please book that call. Would love to chat with you. Ooh yeah, we'll see you in the next one.